Bill O'Reilly of Fox News has a history of spewing racist views and making disparaging remarks. The Fox News pundit continued with his antics during a televised segment where he mocked Representative Maxine Waters.
Angry with Maxine Waters? I want more of it.
Okay, I'm so glad you asked. Listen.
We have suffered discrimination. We have suffered isolation and undermining, but we stand up for America, oftentimes when others who think they are more patriotic, who say they're more patriotic, do not. When we fight against this president and we point out how dangerous he is for this society and for this country, we're fighting for the democracy. We're fighting for America. We're saying to those who say they're patriotic, but they turned a blind eye to the destruction that he's about to cause this country. You're not nearly as patriotic as we are.
So what does that mean, Bill? We've been listening all morning. We cannot.
I didn't hear a word she said. I was looking at the James Brown wig. If we have a picture of James, it's the same.
It's the same one,
No,
right? And he's
okay,
not using
I
it
gotta
anymore.
defend her on that.
You're all wrong about
I have to defend her on that. You can't go after a woman's looks. I think she's very attractive.
But I didn't say she wasn't attractive. I love James Brown. But it's the same hair James Brown, or the Godfather of Soul, had.
So he had girl hair.
Whatever it is, I just couldn't get by it. You're all wrong about Maxine Waters. Number one, she's a sincere individual. Whatever she says, she believes. She's not a phony, all right?
That's right.
And that's old school, all right? If you're not a phony,
old school, you got this new book coming out.
So we're giving Maxine a break here. I love you, Maxine. I want to see you on The Factor. And when hell freezes over, I'm sure that'll happen.
Right.
Identifying.
Let's go.
You're about to experience the uncensored conversations, stimulating wit, and the thought-provoking wisdom. Bold, raw, and uncut. Right now, on the LanceScurv Show.
This is just another example of Bill O'Reilly's televised racism. He once said Donald Trump would have a hard time helping blacks because they are ill-educated and have tattoos on their foreheads. He once called Black Lives Matters violent and said the group is killing America. He once referred to Morehouse College professor Mark Lamont Hill as a drug dealer. And he also told Martin Luther King III that young black girls should wear "Don't Get Pregnant at 14" t-shirts. O'Reilly caters to the white racist male who doesn't think that he is racist. He even claimed in his book that he wasn't racist and doesn't know anyone who is racist. Fox News should finally take a stand against O'Reilly and his divisive language. Although racism will always play a key role in the fabric of America, they shouldn't be allowed to have such an important platform. It's so funny because looking over Twitter, many people responded, and this one was really funny. He said, well, I can't listen to Bill O'Reilly as I can only picture him dragging his wife down the stairs by her neck as their kids looked on. So there. And that's from _Stegs on Twitter. STEEGS. Follow him. But let me just add this. Why are many of us up in arms over what Bill O'Reilly says? It doesn't make sense. He's going to do what he has to do, and he has a job to do, and that's to keep us stirred up and distracted. Whenever Bill O'Reilly or anybody comes out with something so foolish, that means there's something they don't want us to focus on. If you heard what Representative Maxine Waters was saying, it was true. But they totally ignored it. They totally came out with something over the top that had nothing to do with it. And they want to get many of us emotional. When we get emotional, we can't think. We have a mission these days, people. There's things that we have to do for our community. And one of them is not focusing on what Bill O'Reilly has to say about Maxine Waters' hair. Because if the truth be told, there's a lot of things that we can say about the type of woman that maybe Bill O'Reilly might like. And who knows, secretly, like so many racists, Bill O'Reilly just might love a chocolate sister and fantasize about having one every single night while he masturbates with his tweezers. But there's so much that we have to do. And just the other day, I'm proud to say I cut my cable TV. So I didn't get this as fast, and I haven't been checking cyberspace as much, although I have to because this is what I do. But we have to unplug from what they say, because it's a waste of time trying to convince someone who has a low frequency and doesn't have the third eye and the Holy Spirit on things that are righteous and common sense and progressive. It's just not going to happen. You cannot teach a caveman finesse. You cannot teach a barbarian the higher levels of society. They just can't get it. Stop wasting your time every time they grunt something that we run around with open arms. An attack on any of our sisters is an attack on us. Remember, they are the military manufacturing plant of our children and our future, regardless as to what they have in their head. It's up to us collectively to teach and uplift. Because you see, with the Bill O'Reillys of the world, they're not going to do it. They're going to continue to point to those who may not have the consciousness that they need because they've been eating from the wrong plate called American culture. We've got to unplug from this and go higher. And yes, we have to bear responsibility, even if it wasn't us in particular who bred this person to be as ignorant as they may be. No other culture distances themselves from their downtrodden like that. Yes, you have some who may do so when they have money, but we're the only ones that will turn our back on our own woman. And as far as some of the women, I'm not saying all of the men, but some of the men and some of the women will turn their back on their own man. At the end of the day, when you have many Caucasians who may argue behind closed doors, they are not going to come out and put anybody else or another people over their man. Like you see, those white women went out there and voted for Trump. Not all of them, but a whole lot more than what most people thought. And they'll turn around and speak with you and say, yes, he is so terrible. Oh, it's wrong what he said. Yes, it is kind of racist what he said. But guess what? When it came time to go to the polls, we're going to keep a white man in power. He might even smack me up a little bit, but at least he's going to stay in power. Huh? So people say, well, you're speaking so racial, Lance. Why are you racist? I'm just addressing a problem head on because I don't hate anybody. Right is right and wrong is wrong. But in this case, of course, Bill O'Reilly will always, like I said, this is his job. This is what he's to do. And when people take an entire network and focuses on downing a black woman, right? What is it that they want us not to see? We're only 13% of the population in this country, but why is the focus on us so much? There's something that they don't want us to see. That tells me, let's look for that thing. Let's look for that thing that they're trying to hide from us. It's a call to action these days, people. What do we do at the end of the day to bring ourselves higher as a community, to bring ourselves higher as an individual? Because they're not going to do it for us. We are Americans, right? We're Americans when they have that war. We are Americans. We're Americans when that terrorist attack comes and they turn to us to help fight the war against us. But we're not in other countries doing things to people to create these terrorists. But then again, they don't want to acknowledge the domestic terrorists that are here that terrorize us. Like the person who left Maryland to kill a black man. Oh, we can't admit that that's terrorism because then we'll have to admit that our whole entire history is terroristic toward black people. And we can't see ourselves in that light. The Native Americans, who do they look at as a terrorist? Someone from the Middle East who's Muslim? No, they look at the white man as a terrorist. So it all depends how you look at it. But there's things that we have to do, and we can't neglect that. Look, after World War II, and the bomb was dropped in Hiroshima, right? Many Americans hated Japanese. The Japanese could walk around and hate or be distracted at the hate of the Americans. But they didn't do that, did they? They buckled down. I mean, physically, their borders are very small. I mean, it's a very small country geographically compared to America. But what did they do? They buckled down. They focused on the economy. They focused on their unity. And they took over the world in the automotive field. Everywhere you go, Every intersection you go, you stop for the red light. Toyota, Nissan, Honda, Mitsubishi, Subaru. What else? There's a whole lot more that I'm missing. Even the Koreans are in on it, right? So when it comes time for them to say something funny about us, when it comes time for them to look down on us or attack our women verbally, we have to uphold them and we have to uphold ourselves. Because at the end of the day, God blesses the child that has its own. We need our own economy. We need our own land. We need our own military. To hell with them. We're through, done. No progress is going to come to the collective black community by focusing on the one who has terrorized us ever since we've been brought to these shores.
Make sure to check out the boldest blog at LanceScurv.com and follow Scurv on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube under LanceScurv.